outside and you say to yourself, hey, I don't think I checked my pockets before Shabbos. Now you're outside, you're walking. Don't start checking your pockets now. Why?
You're carrying. It's very used to talking this.
No. We're talking about if you don't know.
Um,
We're not talking about that you suspect. If you're walking and you say,
you feel something.
no. I'm talking about if you realize that you didn't check your pockets. We're not talking about that you're suspecting that you're carrying something. Okay? I'm not discussing you suspecting that you're carrying. What I'm saying is you realize, oh, I forgot to check my pockets. Oh, let me check my pockets now. Why are you checking your pockets? You think there's something in there? Maybe. Don't check. Why you want to check? Now the question is still going to be there. But maybe this. What do you mean? Maybe there's something there. If you don't know that you're carrying, you're not transgressing. Now, that doesn't in most malachas, it doesn't usually apply because when it comes to carrying, it's possible that you don't know that you're carrying, and you actually don't transgress the whole Shabbos. In other words, if let's say that after Shabbos you realize, the whole Shabbos had something in my pocket. Okay, fine. It was inadvertent, but it's more than that. You actually didn't do anything. You didn't even transgress inadvertently, because if there's no intention, you don't transgress. It has to be machshava. If you don't know that you're doing something, if you have no awareness. In other words, when we talk about that if you transgress Shabbos inadvertent, like something called shegeg, like you transgress Shabbos, but it's inadvertent, you didn't realize. That means that you forgot it was Shabbos, or you didn't realize it's prohibited. But if you don't know that you're doing something, if you're not even aware that you're doing something, you didn't transgress. For example, let's say you're standing by the light switch, yes? You don't even see the light switch, huh? It's covered by the
Yeah.
You stand by the light switch. Let's say the light switch is right here, and I'm talking to you, and I'm getting all excited. I said, "You know what?" And I go like that, and I knock the light switch, and I turn off the light, or I turn on the light. Did I transgress Shabbos inadvertently? Right? Yeah. No, I didn't. I did zero. I didn't do anything because if I have no awareness of what I'm doing, it's not transgressing. So, if you realize after Shabbos, let's say that you were carrying, you didn't transgress because during Shabbos you were not even aware that you were carrying. Now, I don't know if I should explain this. Now you can ask, so why do you have to check your pockets before Shabbos? So if you want that, I can explain it. Theoretically, why you have to check your pockets? You don't know there's something there. The reason is because you might realize in Shabbos that there is something there. Now you realize that you are carrying. That the same, yeah. Okay, that's the explanation. Yeah. Okay, you want to ask something?
Yes, so sometimes it happens like when you're outside, so your hands are in your pockets and you don't put your hands in your pockets, but you realize that there's something in your pocket, but you don't know for sure. Like it could just be the coat button up. Should you not avoid putting your hands in your pockets then?
We're not saying you're asking a good question. I mean, but depends. I mean, when I'm referring to that, you don't just check your pockets.
Yeah.
But if you suspect something there, now you're saying maybe I'm doing something. Now there's already a thought.
I see.
Now you already have it's a little different. Then
Got it.
I think you should. Now there's a few concerned. I have a feeling there's something in there. Now you're just ignoring it. Now it could be. I believe that's different. I mean, to really answer that accurately, I can't do it on the spot. I have to look it up. But my feeling is that then you should. Yeah. Okay, so understood so far? Okay, so now you're walking, you realize that you're carrying. So what do? So we discussed in the last class. Anyone remembers what are you doing? You realize that you're carrying?
Oh, you don't stop.
You don't stop.
Oh, you don't stop.
First thing is you don't stop. You never stop.
How do you?
You don't stop. That's the first thing is you don't stop. What do you do? What do you do? Remembers, what do you do?
Go back.
Oh.
Mixture.
What?
Whenever.
You go back to where you came from?
Or go to another place where you're supposed to go.
Right, so and now it depends. Did you stop since you left your house? We already said you don't stop. You don't stop. So you're walking. Since you left your house, did you stop at all? Or did you once stop and start again? Okay, we can't, let's first deal with this and then once if you don't, we'll get to that soon. Once if since you left your house you haven't stopped at all. So then what you do is you walk back to where you came from. You walk back to where you came from, and that's it. You walk back to a private domain to your house. I'm not go into all these details at a time. We discussed last time if you're living in a house that's a walking, that in order to get into your house, you have to stop in the public domain, so you can't walk right away back into your house. The idea is that you want to walk back right into your house, right into the private domain, without stopping. That's the idea, right? You don't want to stop in the public domain. Following? So if you're walking back to your house, but when you walk back to your house, you have to stop before you get into your house. You have to stop in the public domain, that becomes an issue. You have to find a private domain that you can walk right back into. Get it? Now, if you did stop since you left your house, then you started walking again, then okay, now just go back before. We said you go back, right, so within the halacha, in a case where, going back to before, when you never stopped since you left your house, we said walk back to your house. It's better to walk back to your house from where you came from than to go to somewhere else. That's better. Okay, is it disturbing? I'm gonna ask them to go somewhere else and talk. You don't have to stay with. What?
Try to do.
The door doesn't.
The door basically doesn't.
Speak somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that's the same thing.
Oh, sorry. No, they're just distracted.
Sorry.
Or doesn't cross.
Hasn't done that for years.
Yeah.
I think it's a wintertime thing.
Sometimes you put a chair against it, but you want us to do that?
Yeah, there's a.
Announcements.
No new students.
Okay, so is everyone found what I'm saying? Okay, so now, if since you left your house, you already stopped, you went to that stop sign, crossing, you stop, you start again, and now again, you're always discussing, you realize while you're walking. Don't get confused. I'm not talking about if you realize why you stopped. If you realize when you stopped, then what do you do if you realize when you stopped? Take it out of your house and have your hand in a pocket, put it on the floor. Right? If you realize when you stopped, then simple. Discussing while you're walking. But since you left your house, you already stopped. So now you want to drop it as soon as possible, ASAP. Not to prolong the malach of carrying in the public domain. So you want to drop it as soon as possible. So the way you want to drop it is, many opinions say you should do it not in a regular way. So you should drop it like overhand. Take it and throw it over your, yeah. If it's in a pocket and you have to get it out, some say you could just turn over the pocket. Let's say it's in here, right? Let's say it's in here. I have to get it out. It's inside here. So some say if you just turn over you go like this, just turn it out until it falls out. That's also not the regular way, because usually when you take something out of your pockets, you go like this. You don't go like this. You start pulling out the whole thing till, right? So if you just turn out, that's also good. What if it's something expensive? So now with inexpensive, what's the concern? It's going to fall, it's going to break. We're not discussing it's going to break. We're discussing it's expensive, you don't leave it on the floor. So what you should do is, after you drop it out of your pocket on the floor, you are going to try to find a non-Jew to carry it for you. Right? non-Jew to carry for you to your house, if it's expensive and it's a loss, that's what you're going to do. If you don't have a non-Jew to carry it for you, and it's expensive, it's going to be a big loss, then we allow you to carry it less than 4 cubits, less than 6 feet at a time. So you carry it, when you stop. Carrying is by walking. You have to carry it, it's in your pocket. Or now actually now you're picking it up, whatever. Right, because it's gonna be in your hand, because you had to drop it out down the regular way. But now you're picking it up and you're walking less than 6 cubits, 6 feet, stopping. Now this is gonna sound funny, but better than stopping is sitting down. Every 6.
Sure.
That's better. Okay, it's better to sit down every 6 feet.
Wait,
I said it's better. If you don't want to.
Down, sit, get back up.
The idea is you don't transgress or carry only if it's you only transgress and carry 4 cubits, 6 feet. So if you carry less, you're not transgressing. Rabbinically, it's usually still prohibited. Can't carry on Shabbos less. But in this situation, when it's expensive and you don't have a non-Jew to carry it for you, so that the Chacham allow us to carry less than 4 cubits, less than 6 feet at a time. Now, this does not help to get it back into your house. Now, you have to get into your house. You're going from one domain to another domain. That's prohibited, even less than 4 cubits. So for that, again, if you have a non-Jew to do it, that's best. Otherwise, what you're going to do is, if you can leave it in front of your house and it's not going to be lost, you could sit and guard it, protect it, that's for sure. If it's going to be a loss, if you leave it right outside your house, you have to get into your house. So, Chacham allow you to throw it into your house in an irregular way. So, like this, you're minimizing the transgression. You're not doing it in a regular way. You're throwing it like backwards into your house. From a public domain to private domain.
But if you're with a friend, can you walk 6 feet, give it to your friend, 6 feet, give it to like
If you're with your friend, then you could just then you could pass it to your friend.
like 6 feet?
Yeah, well, not walk 6 feet and pass. You just keep on passing it to her. In other words, better. What is better than walking 6 feet and stopping? What is better?
See.
Better is to pass. No. You're not. No. I'm not talking about that. But better than doing that procedure is to pass to someone else. So of course, if you're with a friend, you should pass it to her. Don't do this. This method of walking 6 feet and stopping is because you don't have anyone with you. But if you have someone with you, then you should pass it to them. But you keep on passing like this, right? You pass it, they go together, they go further, keep on passing. That's 100%. They can do with anything, even if it's not a loss. Even if
That's so cool.
they can do with anything. There is no problem. That is actually allowed. We discussed in the last class that practically you still know it's in a regular situation where there's no loss. It's not going to help you because you still can't get it back into the house. It's only in the public, within the public domain. You can do that, but how do you get it into the house? So we said it works with a child. We discussed if a child doesn't want to walk, what do? If there's another person, you pass it one to the next, and then when you're in front of the house, talking about a child that is walking, right? They just decided not to walk now. So now, when get in front of the house, you could encourage the child to walk a few feet into the house. You don't see it too often. People do that. People usually are standing and waiting because it's not always practical. Husband and wife, they shouldn't be doing it. But if you have other people, adults around, that's a way to do it. Okay. So now, what about if you have Shvatim? If you're walking with Shvatim, so there's actually, I'm going to make copies and give it out. I'll just read a story over here. This is a story. Okay, maybe we'll leave for another time. It's a story with Al Tereba's grandmother. Okay, so what's if you have svarim, right? If you have svarim you can't put down on the floor. Then even if you stop, then you realize you're holding the sefer in your pocket, tillum, whatever, can't put it down. So what do? While you're walking, you take your tillum, it's in your pocket, and throw it over on the floor. What are you going to do? So what do? So in such a case, what you have to do is, so actually, what do you do if you realize while you're walking? What you should do is you have to try to find a goy, find a non-Jew. Hopefully you'll find one. But then you won't put it into his hand, you'll ask him to take it from your hand. While you're walking, you ask him to take it from your hand. By the way, that could work, but it's not always practical. Going back, if you stopped since you left the house and something expensive, we said you should drop it first and find a non-Jew, right? We say you should drop it first. But if you could actually find a non-Jew right away, let's say, it's not always practical, then that's better is to give it to non-Jew right away. But don't put it into his hand, because then you complete the action of transferring from one domain to another domain, right? You carry from the private domain, you stopped, now you're walking, and then you give it to the non-Jew, so you complete the action. So what you do is you hold, you hold it, and you ask the non-Jew to take it from you. Could you please take this from me? He's going to say, why are you stopping? Oh, I just pulled it out. I think it's still, all right, still charged. Right? But you can't stop, because if you stop, but if while you're walking, you ask him to take it. It sounds pathetic, right?
I just feel like you might be confused.
You're right. Okay.
You can understand.
It's not, I must admit, it's not so practical, this. But if it's a sefer, can't really drop it on the floor.
Yeah.
So in this case, that's really what you need to do.
And the stopping.
I don't know if I can't think of any other way.
Can you
One
do
of-
the stopping?
The stopping sitting down. If it's a
Or what you do is, what you could do is, this I have to double check, because there's a story here in the memoirs where they stopped, and then there was Svarim, whatever, we're gonna talk about it, but here, while you're walking, it could be, you can have even a Jew take it from you, because it's a sefer, he takes it from you while he's walking. I'm not sure if you really have a sefer while you're walking, I have to find who speaks about it, I'm not sure. It's not, these things usually you don't find the sefer in your pocket on Shabbos. It's very rare, it has to be a small sefer. It could happen sometime, you'd be surprised, because let's say sometimes during the week, I wear my kapata for different things, occasions, right? Shabbos, I don't have any sweater, but in the week, what I do is I wear a kapata, and I remember I take out my mincha from my pocket and stick it in my kapata, so I tell them mincha, and then if you don't check your pockets on Shabbos, I'm walking on Shabbos, so it could happen. So I'm not sure what to do if you realize while you're walking, how to deal with it. Again, what you really should do is find a non-Jew and give it to him while you're walking. Oh, now any other questions before I go further?
This is if you haven't stopped or if you have stopped. If you have stopped, I guess you could.
If you haven't stopped, then you're just walking back to where you came from. There's no issue. But if you have stopped since you left, you're supposed to drop it out of your
Right, yeah.
in a backhanded way.
Yeah.
Now it's a safe. You can't drop it out like
But
that.
then start walking to ask a
How do
non-Jew.
you start walking again?
Like you're allowed to.
Start.
You're saying you have to ask the non-Jew while you're walking past, right? But if you have stopped, how can you walk again?
Like you're allowed to continue walking, because in the other examples, we're not allowed to continue walking,
So
so
if you,
just drop it.
so if you have
It's like
stopped,
if
then
you
why not
haven't,
walk back?
it's not starting. If you can't drop it.
Right.
Right,
You can't drop the safer, right?
Yeah.
So you can't drop it. So you still have it.
but
What's
you
the
stopped
question?
walking. The
Stop
problem-
Even if you stopped walking since you left the house,
Yes.
right? You're not allowed to go back to your house.
But now you're walking.
Now you're walking, but what if
Yeah.
you stop?
Whenever you realize while you're walking, there's no issue. Oh, if it's safer, fine. The safe, it's not. It's also easier. Fine, safer. You realize while you stopped, you're not going to put it down. but at least you're in safe territory. There's no urgency. Now you're not going anywhere, not putting you down. You have time to think, you have time to wait. There's no emergency. Now you're gonna find a non-Jew to carry it for you to the house.
But you said you had to ask the non-Jew as you were walking past. You
No,
can't
I
just
said,
go
if you
to-
realize while you're walking you have a sefer, usually you drop it out. Here we're saying, try asking non-Jew while you're walking. Even by an expensive item, we can have a non-Jew carry for you. Better than dropping it out and giving it to him is that while you're walking, he takes it for you.
Got it.
It's not practical, so while you're walking, ask a non-Jew, excuse me, can you take it out? It's not, but when it's a safe, I don't know what else about a safe. It's while you're walking, I don't know, it's complicated. The question is, do you continue? And at what point, it could be in this case, we just allow you to, I have to look it up, I never thought about it. I mean, safe for while you're carrying, they don't discuss it. Find it. But I want to bring other things, yeah.
I was just gonna say, could you maybe leave the safer on like, you know how there are walls along like.
Okay, so I was
the
gonna
property
mention,
and
so in general,
Yeah.
in the
like
streets,
ledges. Yeah, like if it, like, let's say you pass your friend's house and you know that like, you can keep the safer safe on like that wall in front of their house.
the wall, but that's a private domain already. It's a public domain. If it's a wall, any wall that's this height, the inch above the table, and it's a foot by a foot, about a foot by a foot, just to be safe, say a foot by a foot, is considered a private domain. Even in the middle of the street.
So wait, it would be, okay, I can't remember.
So it would become a private domain. So
Right,
it's
so
not
you
like,
can.
so you can't, you transfer from public to private. Now, now another piece of information, and that is, it's not usually practical, but just for the records, if you're walking, you realize you're carrying, and you're supposed to drop it out of your hand because you already stopped since you left your house, then you have to drop it as soon as possible. So if you have close by to you what's called a makom patur. Makom patur means you see, the prohibition of carrying is carrying from from a private domain to a public domain. To a reshus harabim. To a, you read this? From a private domain to public domain, or vice versa. What's a private domain? Private domain means it's enclosed with walls. Right? Or we said you have a pole in the middle of the pole domain that's a foot by a foot. This height is also a private domain, even though there's no walls, but Allah teaches us that it's as if there's walls coming out. Public domain is a public domain where there's a lot of people walking there. Different opinions, what exactly it's a public, some would say public domain is only when there's 600,000 people walking through. I'm not going into all the details. Now, there is a domain that's in between. That's not private, not public, right? Like a valley, like an open area. It's not enclosed, but it's not a public domain, right? Go to the mountains. Let's see. You have this open field. It's not a public domain. Why? It's private territory. It's not public.
So like private property, but.
Private property, or even necessarily private, but it's not public. It's not. Yeah, private property. It's not made for people to walk through.
Huh.
But it's not enclosed. So what is that? So according to the Torah, that's called a makom patur. So makom patur, a place that you're exempt. The such area is called an exempt area, but our sages were still strict. They called it a rabbinical public domain, but still there are certain areas that remain makom patur, place that's like an exempt domain, according to everyone, even according to our sages. And that is, if you have any area in the public domain that's above 10, 12 feet, it's above this height, and it's less than a foot by a foot. So let's say if you have in the stream, if you find, let's say, a hydrant. If your fire hydrant is less than a foot by a foot, let's say it's very thin, If it's round, you have to figure out if to do the math, whatever. Well, it's like, yeah. So no, so in other words, this is a foot by a foot, this is a foot by a foot. This is called this becomes a private domain when it's this height. If it's less than a foot by a foot and it's 10 tvachim wide, this height, then putting things on top is a makom tun, it's an exempt area. That means if you're carrying, you realize you're carrying and you find such a place right away, you just put it down.
So if it's that height exactly, or if it's that height or taller?
Yeah, or taller, right.
Okay, got it.
Okay, make that clear. This height or taller, right. But it has to be less than a foot by a foot. Actually, if it's exactly foot by foot, it's also good. I'm just trying to be safe. If it says exactly foot by foot, it's still less than 4 by 4 tvachim. Yeah, it's exactly a foot by foot. Yeah, so exactly foot by foot or less. And this height or higher, you could put that's a makom tun. So you could put things on it, you take things off it, no issue. So if you realize why you're carrying it, it's close to you, it says you shouldn't like continue walking to find it because you're prolonging the carrying in the public domain. But if you come close to it right away, then you could put it down. Yeah.
Why is an apartment building, like why can't you carry in an apartment building if it's enclosed completely?
That's a separate discussion because Chacham prohibited to carry an apartment building. You're talking about why do we need the aid of Chatzeris?
Yeah.
That's because it resembles a public domain. That
What
can
way?
lead, why? Because it's public property. Public means there's so many people walking there. It's like people, it's not like your own house. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of traffic in an apartment building, right? So it looks like a public area. So people could confuse and say, oh, you're allowed to carry a person who's not knowledgeable at all will say, oh, this is I could carry it, it's a public area. Technically, apartment building is a public area. There's like 100 apartments, people walking all over the place. So people could walk away saying, oh, you're allowed to carry in a public domain. So that's why they instituted the halachas of Erev Chatzeris. That's in a nutshell. Yeah. Okay. Any questions before we go further? Okay, so I will really mention this story again. We started mentioning earlier. Story goes like this. So Rachel, it's her name, the grandmother, I believe it was the grandmother of Dal Rebbe. And story was that Rachel, who was the grandmother of Dal Rebbe, was very knowledgeable in the law, and she learned a lot of Torah. She was very knowledgeable. Her husband didn't even know about it. And once it happened that they were walking in the city of Posen. And there was there was an native there. And they were walking, and the men were walking, and the women were walking there, families. And then all of a sudden, the Shamish is the one who's the caretaker of the shul of the community, came running and saying that the native is broken. So they all stopped. You know, when you don't, when you're not, you don't have it to be a tongue, things happen. You just, and they didn't know what to do. They were wearing gloves, and they were carrying svarim. So the father of Rachel, his name was Baruch Batman, called to his daughter and said to her, well, Rachel, you are an expert in the laws of Shulchan Aruch. Tell us what we should do now. You know, this is going to be a little. Turning to the men, he remarked with a smile, we men are so busy studying Gemara and other such courses of study that when we are faced with deciding upon halacha, we don't know what to do. So therefore, we're going to ask Rachel what the halacha is. And people were like shocked that they didn't know, because those days it wasn't common for women to be learning, and if they did, they kept it more. Whatever the reason was, it's a topic for itself. They didn't want, anyways. So she said like this. She said the gloves we don't need to take off, because the gloves is not really carrying, just because you might come to take it off and carry it, right? We learned in the halachos of gloves that it's preferable not to wear gloves because you might end up carrying it. But being there's a lot of people together with us, we can remind each other there's no need to take off the gloves. If we do, if someone does by mistake take off the gloves, they'll be reminded right away. In terms of now they were carrying svarim, can't put down the svarim. Okay, so the svarim, we should transfer the svarim from person to person, like we discussed, and then hand it over until it reaches the yard of a non-Jew. That's what it says, to the yard of a non-Jew. Why the yard of a non-Jew? I'm not sure why the yard of a non-Jew, but I guess maybe it was closer, or because I can get the non-Jew will be part of it, so that you only have the Jews carrying it, the non-Jew will be part of the carrying. But that's, anyways, but that was correct. That's what we need to do. So you pass, but now how do you get it into the private domain? So we said before, when it's an item that's expensive and you want to get it back in, if it's not going to get ruined by throwing it in, you're throwing it in a backhanded way. But over here, you can't, it's svarim. So with svarim, you do with two people together. So if there's a non-Jew, then the non-Jew do the whole thing. So I'm not really sure what's the idea of a property of a non-Jew. But in any case, what you do is, if it's svarim, you do it two people together. Because you don't transgress minat Torah only if you do a complete action of carrying from one domain to another domain. But if two people do it together, then it's still prohibited, but it's rabbinic. So in this case of talking about svarim, it's disrespect to the svarim to leave it outside. So then one person will put his hand inside the private domain, and the other one will take it from him. In other words, if you stick your hand inside from public to private, and then you put it into the hand of the person, then you completed the malacha, you transgressed. You stick your hand inside, and someone else takes it from you. Now, it does say in Shulchan Aruch that when you do such a thing, the one who takes it from your hand should do it while he's walking. And the reason is because if I stick my hand from public to private and I put it, if I stick my hand from public to put it in my hand, did I complete the malacha? Yeah?
Yes.
I did, right? What if I stick my hand inside like this, and the person takes it from my hand?
That's okay.
That is okay, right? That is okay. Now, but there's a concern. If we allow such a thing, we say that I stick my hand inside, and then the person takes it from my hand. It's very simple to get confused. Instead of taking from my hand, I'll put it into his hand. If I put it into his hand, I can put it in the malacha. So that's why it says that when you give it to the other person should take it while he's walking. Now, if let's say I stick my hand, is it getting confusing? I'm trying to clarify this.
No.
If I stick my hand inside a private domain, listen to this, I put it into his hand while he's walking. You got this?
Mm-hmm.
While he's, did I complete the malacha? No, because I didn't put it down yet because he's still walking. You're getting it, right?
Yeah.
So that's also fine. But if he stops, he did. So to make it safe, it says, put your hand inside, and then the person should take it from your hand while he's walking. So now it's covers, because he's taking it while he's walking, and he's taking it from your hand while he's walking. That's much more security that you won't complete the malacha. Get it? So that's the best way to do it. But if you do it this way, if it's fun, something's more difficult. If you do stick your hand inside and the person takes it from your hand, you did not complete the malacha, which one did part of the malacha. So that should be done with svarim. Any questions? Oh, now this is an interesting story. There's once in Siberia, the stories with a Yidden, that was stuck in Siberia for many years, had to work very hard. Many of them tried to keep Shabbos as much as possible. They didn't have any choice. They, those who were strong, they were able to hold back, resist, not to work on Shabbos. And so the story is that they gave him this job to cut twigs and then carry it over from one place to another. So the one who was in charge went to check up on them to see if they're actually doing the job. So from far away, with binoculars, he's checking what they're doing, and he sees the way they are. There's a bunch of twigs. It's supposed to all the twigs are thrown to the river. They're supposed to clean up the place. He sees there's twigs that weigh nothing. So we pick up together, and they're walking. And go down. And pick up again. Go down. He came. He started screaming at them. What are you doing? What's this funny thing you're doing? That they explained to him. He had a nice laugh, but this is what they were doing. They're going, putting it down, putting it up, putting it down. Okay. Okay, we'll stop here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rabbi Osdoba, sorry, I missed the beginning of the class. So if you realize that you have scar and you don't see there, right? You just walking.
So if you realize while you have sweating and you have stopped already since you left.
That's when you
stopped since you left, right?
right.
It's just like random.
Right. So if you were walking, then you just keep walking and go back to your private property.
Right, but if you realize and you already stopped since you left, and you have sweater in your pocket, that part it's a little complicated. The best I could say right now is usually so you have to drop it out of your hand in a backhanded way, but it's fun. It's fun. So either you try to find, like we said, what's called a makom p'tur, a place that's higher up, this height, but not very wide. It's not usual to find such a place. Sometimes you have poles that are very narrow and tall, and you can put on top of it. Or you try to find a non-Jew to take it from your hand while you're walking, because you can't stop. Or it could be that you could do with another. I have to look it up. It could be you could do with another Jew because you have no choice. Because if you don't want to put it down, the only other way to not complete a malacha is if you have another Jew that takes it from your hands.
Like
So you're not
passing it.
completing.
Why can't you just pass it from one?
Yeah, but when you realize while you're walking. Now, if you give it to someone else, if you put it to someone else's hand, you're now completing the malacha.
Because you stopped already.
You stopped still since you left. So now, if you, whatever, well, regardless, okay, let's clarify. You stopped since you left. So now, even when you drop it in a backhanded way, you also complete the malacha. You have no choice because you have to. What should you do? Because you stopped since you left your house, then you start again. So you have to put it down at some point. You're going to be completing the malacha regardless. So we want you to stop as soon as possible. We do it in the back, not in a regular way. With svarim, you can't. So what's the option? There's no. You can't do it in a backhanded way. So in order to minimize the malacha, if you can find a non-Jew while you're walking, that's the best. If not, my guess is that you find a Jew while you're walking. The Jew should take it from your hand while you're walking and while he is walking. So he's not doing it a kiddah, right? He should take it from your hand while he is walking. Otherwise, he's picking it up.
Okay,
And then he walks with it. And then he will put it down.
in the
And
private.
then
Yeah.
someone will take it. You have to realize all these things I'm explaining you when it actually happens, everyone forgets all these things. No, in a class you can think about all these things. But when these emergencies happen, people just everything I'm telling you, everything goes wrong. That's how it is.
Yeah, but.
Like even this story over here. But I'm saying that's really what you need to do is you have to find a Jew. While you're walking, he takes it from your hand. Now he didn't do it, you didn't complete the malacha, and he didn't even begin the malacha because he took it from your hand while he's walking, so he never did it, he never picked it up from any domain. He never started it, it was while he's walking. And then he will walk into a house, and someone should take it from his hand while he is walking, and while that person is walking, put it down. Yeah, figuring it out now. How do you might
Wow, that's very elaborate.
Either into a pool on the bed, the couch.
Sometimes that's before. I was thrown on